Hi, I'm Khushbu Soni, the founder of The Mainstream. I'm super excited to be joined by Kirtikar Ojha, the Chief Marketing Officer at L&T Cloudfinity. Kirtikar is a seasoned marketing and a business leader who has spent years driving change at the crossroads of cloud, telecom, and enterprise tech. Today, he leads marketing, business development, and government sales at L&T Cloudfinity, bringing together rare blend of strategic thinking and ground execution and tech-first storytelling. Kirtikar, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us today for this discussion.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Fantastic. Well, I wanted to begin with first asking my question. We've seen your journey, but we would love to hear it from you. If you can tell us what's your story like.
So when I started my career, I was, my father being an IAS officer, I was under tremendous pressure to appear in civil services. I couldn't kind of qualify the mains. I qualified prelims, but thing has a silver lining. So while preparing for civil services, I discovered the new telecom policy which was being planned by the government of India. And then I discovered what is Bell Canada, what is AT&T, and I started having more attuned towards the telecom part of it, the technology part. And when, so I started my career with a company called Modi Xerox. So that was very hardcore sales orientation, but traditional sales orientation, which is very B2B and very aggressive account mapping. How do you manage your territory, competition info, market analysis, all this started coming to my way of working. And then telecom came in and I joined Bharti Airtel and my journey started from telecom. So telecom was all about trust and connectivity.
Right.
It was like how fast can you connect and how trusting partner you are.
Correct.
So I remember when we sold first point to point 2 mega MB link from Delhi to Mumbai for American Express Bank. It was like huge achievement. Right. And it costed about 70-80 lakh rupees at that point in time, which eventually has become about 2 or 3 lakh. So that is how the industry has progressed. Right. Commercial barriers have been broken. And today's world, when we talk about from telecom to trust and connectivity to cloud, which is like scale, adaptability and flexibility, how can you change the product offering to your customers? Customers' choices, the CTOs and CIOs have changed their flavor in terms of how they want to consume your services. Correct. Whether it's a CapEx or an OpEx model, the traditional sales has moved from typical sales to a techno-commercial tone. Your tonality cannot be only sales or you're pitching something, you're selling something. It's more like consultative with a lot of techno-commercial that you need to create a value on the table to a customer to explain what the technology is and how, at what value it can be consumed by the end customer for achieving higher productivity. Right. So I've seen those paradigm shift happening in the market. And with, I remember 12 years back when cloud was coming in and there was a lot of resistance towards cloud because then the hardware OEM manufacturers like Dell, HP and Oracle, they were not so attuned to because their business model was collapsing.
Correct.
And when you see today, they are talking about cloud now.
Absolutely.
Because the cloud operators start buying from these hardware vendors and thereby the equilibrium established.
Correct.
And that is how the market is moving. With AI coming in, things are getting exciting.
Yeah, I think there's so much of disruption and evolution in the market. And I think we as marketing professions and business leaders, there's constant need to reboot, pivot our approach to the go-to-market strategy and, kind of ensure that we stick to how the market really is expecting, right? So it's a phenomenal journey of yours. And, we've seen you have a classic blend of both sales and marketing, right? Today, what do you think is the topmost priority as a CMO? What is that a CMO should really focus on when looking at addressing the market or from a brand building perspective or performance marketing perspective?
In my journey, what I have seen is that we were very campaign driven.
Yeah.
Right. We run a campaign, run this campaign, print media campaign. When I started my career, there was no social media at that point in time. We are a non-Google generation when we started the business. So if you want to understand something, there was no Google for you to help. So it was like you need to read, you need to adopt, you need to learn from your peers, your seniors, and likewise. And then the entire churning which happens within you as a person, as a personality, and develop your own narrative style.
Correct.
And that narrative style should vibe well with the CTOs and the CIOs.
Yes.
And that helped us to be more intellectually aligned, more alive to what client needs. And it all started happening when cloud came in. So
Right.
telecom still was a traditional sales.
Yeah.
And when the cloud started happening, then you start recalibrating your marketing strategies.
Right.
It was all about brand building in my previous organization. It was more about how do you want to push your service. When BlackBerry came in, BlackBerry was like a status symbol, whether people understand about BlackBerry or not, whether they need a BlackBerry or not. But it was like you need to be up in the cycle to ensure that BlackBerry is positioned and is available to those industry leaders.
Correct.
Whether they need it or not.
Correct.
And from that to a need-based marketing evangelist, which is happening at this point in time. So today's CTO, CIO from erstwhile campaign-oriented marketing approach to a value creation. That today, the barriers are broken between sales and marketing. I, as a marketer, need to create value not only for the end customer, but also for my company that I represent.
Correct.
So I need to contribute largely immensely on the top line and bottom line both.
Right.
So how do we create value? How do I make the technology available to people? Demystify the myth called AI or cloud or private cloud or hybrid cloud.
Right.
So these are different models which need to be explained to the end customer. For example, banking. Banking has core banking in it and is being governed largely compliance driven through RBI. And the entire sensitive financial data lies on the platform. So whether it should be a public cloud or a private cloud. And there was a concept called third platform, a nomenclature that people started talking about. We need to have a third platform. So from a CapEx to cloud like OpEx to a third platform. The third platform now is represented as hybrid cloud.
Right.
That your core application resides on your a dedicated environment, but with a flexibility of a cloud, which is like virtualization. Right. So you virtualize, create multiple servers inside one servers, create the agility and benefit of cloud, but it is like a dedicated environment for you.
Right.
For non-core application like messaging, like mailing, like HRMS can go to public cloud. And then there is a seamless integration between public and private. I'm saying it very easily to you. But at that point in time, say about 10 years back, it was horrendous task to narrate this to end customer.
Correct.
Because still in India or outside, B2B is very face-to-face, meeting-oriented, PPT-driven, proof of concept-driven, use cases. So from there, and now we are selling this idea on AI on social media. And you have to be bingo.
Correct.
And every day is a new day for you. So whatever you did last day has no bearing on today. And with technology changing and barriers are broken, it's a challenging task.
Absolutely.
Your narrative has to be on the spot, on your money, and ensure that the CIOs and CTOs are hooked on to you. You have enough traffic on your website. They find value in you. So I will again repeat, it is not campaign oriented. The old marketing philosophy remains the same. You need to be a value creator.
Correct.
Both in terms of services, but also in terms of commercial value.
Right. Kirtikar, when it comes to the brand building side of it, right? Now, like you mentioned, most of it is social media, right? Of course, in India, especially when it comes to sales or when it comes to driving, putting out the messaging rightly or creating that value is still face to face. But from a brand building perspective, earlier were the times when we used to do a lot of, hoardings and print, and now everything is all digital. Right. And with so much, of course, tools like AI, which is your chat GPT of the world, and then there are other tools for creating videos and graphics, etc. There's so much content up there. Probably there are 10 other competitors who are using all of this and being ahead in terms of how they position themselves. How can a marketing organization, like within any tech brand, be more relevant, be more unique, and still, constantly work on the brand building side of it?
Okay, so I'll start with L&T first. So L&T has multiple businesses, from hydrocarbon to engineering to construction and to data center and cloud division. So while we were one small cog in the wheel for a large entity called L&T, the responsibility of a marketer lies with the overall L&T image, brand awareness, and trust that L&T evokes amongst the countrymen.
Correct.
And so the philosophy has been not to overcome it. The philosophy is not to be splashing around all the media platforms. You won't see much ad of L&T.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, very nuanced,
Right.
and plays on trust of people, trust of customers. With this, and my philosophy of being that if you want to promote something, cut down on complexities. And I think simplicity is the biggest complexity, because being simple is not easy.
That's true.
The most hard part is to be simple.
Correct.
And that simpleness, I think, strikes chord with the end customer.
Right.
So be human.
Yeah.
Be human-centric in your narrative style. Even with the AI coming in, with machine learning and deep learning and whole lot of automation which is happening around you, you cannot outsource your customer engagement to any third party.
Right.
You need to own it. You need to nurture it. You cannot even outsource to automation. You have to live that relationship every day.
Correct.
You need to treat them as a living entity and play on that emotions that will bring trust on this. So my take is that my endeavor is to how do I simplify and articulate AI into a very demystified concept and talk about more on the use cases. So I'm using event platforms, CII events, ASOCHAM events, and I'm getting the feedback that, yeah, you did try to make it more amenable and more explainable to a normal people who understand AI in a different manner.
Right. So not really complex your content or messaging is the mantra to at least begin with.
And stay human.
And stay human. Absolutely. Kirtikar, you've also led a lot of complex transformation and hyperscaler deals, right? So how do you kind of really align the internal teams and your partners to really work on the similar objective in dealing with some large deals in your career?
You will say that I'm trying to repeat myself, but the emotional quotient in any engagement, be it an external customer or a third party that is your partner, if that is a partner is in the deal for you, or your own team members. So when you're building up a deal, a digital transformation, it starts from the hardware to the software to the network devices to network integration to the application modernization, how it will sit with each other requires multiple domain expertise within your team.
Yeah.
And how do you make them arrive at a common objective is again the same old thing that you should align your team members to a common objective.
Absolutely.
Be a nation, be a company, be a society. If you're able to align people's view and their passion and their commitment towards a common objective. So if in this case, a common objective is to give the cutting edge technology at a value to the end customer without focusing more on what competitors are doing in. Not that I should not know what they're doing, but in terms of what is the rate that this competitor is offering, what is the technology that they're offering. If you have trust in this and you can create value to the end customer with your techno-commercial model, and if you're able to communicate that again in that human, simple narrative style, I think that is my mantra of being successful.
Fantastic. Yeah. My next question is also about, you spoke about the alignment within the internal teams and the partners to work on a common objective. Absolutely bang on, definitely works. We've also seen a lot of challenges in this when it comes to putting that common culture of because when we start off the year, there's always a go-to-market planning that happens, right? And then every quarter on quarter or every 6 months, priorities keep changing.
Yes.
Because market dynamics change, right? The way market responses, and that's when the pivot happens. So is there a best practice that you kind of inculcate within the team to, at least like, okay, this is non-negotiable for a year-long go-to-market plan. And these are the certain things that we need to be ready with when a business demands or a sales demands to reach out to the market?
Good question. So in B2B space, this is my take. Younger than me would have a different take on this. But my take is that you need to be ready to roll up your sleeve and dirty your hand. You need to be visible in the market. You need to meet people, understand what is the need, what is the latent need. There is a technology available. It may not be good so much for a customer that you are dealing with, say if it's an XYZ bank, I'm not taking any names, and there is a new technology, maybe for example DeepSeek, but for that end customer, DeepSeek would not be so attuned to his work environment or the work that he wants to accomplish. You should be confident enough to red flag that. Instead of trying to please that customer, then okay, and customer is asking for DeepSeek, you should have that kind of a confidence and your ability to communicate that to the end customer that look, these are the logical building blocks which may not resonate well with you given your platform. In India, the businesses have grown at a pace, right? So most of the banks or manufacturing units have acquired application over a period of time. So when you go to a place, you'll be zapped to know that 70-80% of application are still at the native application which the customers have built on their own.
Right.
They may not gel with the modern application layer or even the hardware.
Right.
How do you manage that? So it's a journey that you need to embark upon with the customer, with the tenacity and ability of your team members to start progressing towards a app modernization progress and consolidate at the application layer. App modernization, to my mind, is the biggest leap of faith which customers have taken. And there are various customers who are very successful, again not taking names, who have done this journey in a very painstaking way. If you can align this thought or vision to the customer and to your internal customers, that is your team members, in a uncluttered way, in trusting environment, I think your job is done. So when you're driving a digital transformation, it is like bread and butter of an organization. When organizations are deciding to move all their workload into your environment, which is a cloud or a physical co-location, it is like I used to tell to my team members, it's like marrying a daughter. The entire data on which the business works, on which a lot of salaries are dependent, on which a lot of households expenses are dependent. When I used to talk like this, and people used to say, well, it's not only a deal. There are a lot of people also involved and their families also might get affected towards that. Because if the business flops, whole lot of value chain down the downstream also gets impacted.
That is true.
So I have been vocal about how do I humanize technology? How do I humanize technology to a level where I can create value both in terms of commercial and the overall objective for the customer and my team members. I think if we can do this both forward and backward integration, you are good.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Kirtikar, with so much of strong values, looking at how we approach our day-to-day in the business, do you leverage AI tools within your marketing function for your team to encourage? What are some of the tools that you encourage your teams to use?
So what we are trying to do is now at speech to video, text to video that we are trying to do. A lot of work we are doing in-house. A lot of social media campaigns are being run in-house. Now we have started to hire agency and we are planning to hire agency for our modernization plan that we have in mind. But whole lot of, so it is mostly the open source tools that we are using. So I created, so there was a concept, I can't disclose at this point in time, that there was a concept where we want to create for hyperscalers. And we thought it's a cutting edge. So how do I tell my bosses around this, the management team, to get approval for money that I needed for that? So I created a video on Gamma, right? And the concept was 2-3 people that we sat down. It converted that into a text to a video. And that video I played was a 90-second video ran in front of few group of people, the wise men and women. And they liked the idea. Point is, how do you encapsulate your thought in a very crystallized manner? There I use lot of Ghibli and lot of black and white tonality, and so it was like how the deal will progress, how this idea will progress, starting from black and white tonality to a multicolor and Ghibli and human. And that people liked a lot. So in the entire technology spectrum, it was a pretty high intense technology idea that we were trying to tell to the end customer, which happens to be a management team. What people like was the visual. Can you imagine that? Absolutely. And they're like, hey, listen, I like your black and white thing. I like that idea. And that is what a marketeer job is done. So I was very happy. And I patted myself
Yeah,
and
of
my
course.
team a lot, because that was the idea. So we were showing some medical intervention that a second idea was, how do we make Indian hospitals more AI oriented,
Yeah.
and the less doctors and more patient, how do we bridge the gap? How do we modernize and automate the diagnostic platform? For that, how do I visualize it? So when I use Ghibli in an event for life sciences full of doctors, and people remembered that. So when I went down during the networking lunch, people came to me and said, we like that Ghibli. What I'm trying to say is, at times picture speaks thousand words.
That's true.
Which kind of picture that you want to show?
Yeah.
Uh, and I want to move away from that darkish chart based and
Yes.
Excel heavy, visuals. Instead, go more on the human side,
Absolutely.
where you relate yourself.
Yeah.
You will not realize that whatever mundane life that you are trying to lead over a period of time, you're still a very human person.
Correct.
Inside your core. So when you touch that core,
Yeah.
is the job of a marketeer, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Reaching out to that core.
Absolutely. And with storytelling.
With storytelling, and you cannot be fake about it.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty genuine to reach to that core.
True.
Whether you are selling B2B or B2C, whether you're selling technology or a complex, hardly matters.
Absolutely.
That principles remain the same.
Great. This is a great conversation,
Thank you.
Kirtikar. I have a surprise element. I have few rapid fire questions that I would like to ask you. And whatever comes first in your mind is what we would like to share. You ready?
I am.
Okay. The best career advice you ever got in 5 words or less?
It is like, stay uncomfortable. Always.
Wow.
If you are stay uncomfortable, you will have the patience or passion to reach to higher glory. Second, I will give you multiple.
Yeah, sure.
Guy told me, my boss, if you want to grow big, spend more.
Nice.
And I said, why? How do I spend more? He says, spend more, then you will learn to earn legitimate money in a different manner. Then you will start focusing more on your job to get more incentive.
Correct.
And third is, never stop learning.
True.
Is the advice that I would give.
Lovely. I love the first two for sure, because that's something that even I believe a lot.
Okay.
Most used app on your phone? Maybe if you can be honest.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Okay.
WhatsApp.
One book every marketer should read?
I'll say 2.
Okay.
Play bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It is like moving from campaign-centric, typical marketing, you move to a category creation. Uber, IKEA. They're not selling furniture.
Yeah.
They're selling IKEA furniture.
True.
It's not a transport. It's an Uber transport.
Correct.
So when you start creating categories over a typical product campaign, you're creating a top niche for yourself, for your brand. And so it serves innate need of a customer who doesn't even know that he needs.
Yeah. Right.
So for me, going from point A to point B, I needed a logistic support like a taxi, but then having that on my fingertips on an app called Uber or Ola, that has made me realize that yes, that is what I needed, which I was not aware.
Okay.
So you need to do category creation instead of campaign orientation. And second book is Art of War. You will find it very odd, but as a marketeer, I would recommend, please read it. There are a lot of things which is happening on the battleground.
Yeah.
Can be replicated on your corporate life
Okay.
and your marketing thought process as well.
Fantastic. A startup you wish you had invested in?
So we have invested, when I talk professionally, my answer would be that we have invested in a company called E2E from L&T perspective. They are into GPU, CPU, cloud, both. So we are setting up a GPU cluster in our data center, and we are part of the India AI mission for GPU platform. Personally, if you ask me, I would have loved to, if I would have money, I would have invested in Elon Musk. I'm a great fan of him. Tesla. I'm a great fan of Elon Musk.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. This was a great conversation, Kirtikar. Thank you so much for joining us on the main
Thank
stream.
you so much.
And it was such a lovely conversation. Loved all the philosophical talks also that we've had.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure meeting with all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.